Okay guys, I am going to talk you through how to use this piece of equipment here. This piece of equipment here is called a potometer, and it is a piece of equipment that we use to measure the rate of transpiration in a plant. Okay, now this is triple only material on the Edexcel IGCSE, which means it's only going to come up on a paper 2, mainly in a practical context. So you might have a question that talks about what transpiration is and then asks you to talk through how you would use this piece of equipment. So you do need to know how it works. Now, to measure the rate of transpiration in a plant, essentially what this piece of equipment is going to do is measure the progress of an air bubble, which you can see just here. I've got an air bubble. I will zoom in on this at the end so you can see. But you've got an air bubble on a scale. So I can measure the distance this air bubble moves in a set period of time. And I can use that information to calculate the rate of transpiration. So this piece of equipment, the main important bit, is my plant. Okay, so I have a plant here that is inserted into a tube here that is connected to a stream of water through a tube at the bottom. Now this stream of water mimics a transpiration stream in a plant, and to conserve that transpiration stream, my plant initially has to be cut underwater so that no air bubbles get into my plant until I inject one down here. Okay, I want to maintain my transpiration stream. To maintain my transpiration stream, I have covered the seal of the tube that is connecting my plant, okay, to the tube. Now, I have done that to make sure that the seal is waterproof so that no water can come out when I fill up the rest of the tube, but also so that no water can evaporate from this seal. I need it to be waterproof. It looks like there's a waxy substance here. That's actually petroleum jelly that we've put on. It could be oil, I've seen in questions that have used as well, but mainly it is petroleum jelly. Okay, so I've got my airtight seal here. The next piece of equipment that you need to, or part of the potometer, sorry, that you need to know about is this reservoir. So the reservoir at the top here, which has got a store of coloured liquid, is connected by a tube to a tap here. Now this tap is used to reset my air bubble at the end of a reading. So for example, if I'm measuring the rate of transpiration in a 5-minute period, at the end of that 5-minute period, I would undo the tap and reset the air bubble back to 0 to make sure that I can go for another repeat, okay? So that's what my reservoir is used for, okay? So my scale at the bottom here of my capillary tube is the next piece of equipment, because that's what I'm going to use to measure the distance that the air bubble has travelled across. Okay, so I've got my scale at the bottom. This one here is 15 centimetres. You can get longer ones if you're measuring over a longer period of time, but you don't necessarily need a long scale or a large potometer. Okay, now I can use this piece of equipment as is right now, so I could leave this for 5 minutes and I could look at how far my air bubble has moved. At the moment it's at about 0.5 centimetres. So in 5 minutes I could come back and say it's moved to 5. I would measure the difference, okay, so 4.5 centimetres in 5 minutes. And I would divide 4.5 by 5 to get my rate of transpiration in centimetres per minute, okay? That is how I would use this piece of equipment. I can also investigate how different factors affect the rate of transpiration with this piece of equipment. I can investigate how wind speed affects the rate of transpiration by having a fan on my plant for those 5 minutes. I could investigate humidity by putting a bag over the top of like a clear plastic bag over the top of my plant. I could investigate temperature by increasing the temperature of the room, increasing the temperature of the plant, having a plant in a hot room and a cold room. I could increase the light by putting a black plastic bag over your plant, or putting a plant in a dark room versus a light room, okay? All of those things can be used with this piece of equipment, okay? There is another version of this piece of equipment that is a mass potometer, and what that means is instead of measuring the distance moved here, you have a similar piece of equipment where you have your plant in water in a conical flask that has a seal that is put on top of a balance. And what you would do there was measure the mass of water at the start, and at the end of your 5-minute period you would take the mass of the water afterwards and look at the change in mass over time, okay? Because as water is moving through my plant, okay, I am going to lose mass, all right? So that is how you would use a potometer.